Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Cousin
Connection
Podcast.
Hey! If you guys didn't recognize that voice, we got a special guest this week. My name is Sarah.
My name's Amir.
And my name is Nabat.
AKA
Sakar Nabat.
Hey! That was executed beautifully.
We're loud. Sorry, guys. The mics are going to clip for the first few seconds here. I'm going to pull this thing away from me. Maybe it's because I'm so loud.
We're just excited.
Yeah, that's what it is. We got a good topic for y'all today. And just as the man in this whole situation, I feel like I should bring this topic up, you know.
Wow. You're going to mansplain it now? We're going there?
Okay, no. Okay, so as you guys know, I'm on the YouTubes a lot. I'm watching videos all the time. I'm bringing up all these topics all the time. So a few months ago, I watched a video made by Jubilee called, the title of the video is "Does Hijab Oppress These Muslim Women?" AKA like Middle Ground. That's the show that they have. It's like the episodic show they have. And I thought it would be like an interesting topic that we could cover. And so I'm going to probably take some of the questions that they brought up on this podcast. We're going to kind of go through them and give our own opinion, because I feel like the topic of the hijab is like so, at least these days, it's like central to a lot of the discourse that goes on within the Muslim community these days, outside of marriage. It's like marriage and then like
hijab. Modesty.
Yeah, modesty.
Whether you're wearing your hijab correctly or not.
Exactly. So I think I should just start it off by going through these questions. Do you guys want to first tell your stories about the hijab, or should we get into that later? You know, we'll get into that afterwards.
Yeah, I think we can get into that later.
And just for full transparency, like both Nabat and Sarah are hijabis.
If you didn't already know.
Exactly. Well, Most likely, if you're listening to this, you probably already know.
Yeah.
Exactly. You kind of know this by now. So yeah, let me just pull this up real quick and we'll get started. So the first question that they posed on the show was, is a hijabi Muslim a better Muslim?
To answer it simply,
Mm-hmm.
covering yourself doesn't necessarily mean that you are better than someone who doesn't cover themselves. It really just depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
There could be someone who doesn't wear hijab but performs all of her prayers.
Mm-hmm.
And there could be someone who does wear hijab but hasn't prayed a single day in her life.
Yep, exactly. And Nabat, do you have the same opinion there?
Yes.
Yes?
I think hijab is just one part of the religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's so someone can, like she said, they might be struggling with this one thing, but they do all the other stuff. That doesn't, just because they don't wear hijab does not make them any less religious than someone who doesn't.
Exactly. And I personally, I guess, sorry, I was going to jump in and give my thing in there. I know as a guy, it might be awkward, like giving my opinion when it comes to hijab and everything, but I feel like I'm pretty much on the line where I won't get too much hate from it. But I've personally even like interacted with people where like they're wearing a hijab, not to call it anyway, but like they're wearing hijab, they're like what you would see on by face value, like that your standard Muslim woman. Sorry, I don't know why.
Yeah, like the hijabis essentially represent the religion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, this person was going out and drinking at like your local bar.
I feel like that's such an oxymoron.
And like ordering drinks while wearing the full hijab. Like it's not like that thing where you're kind of wearing the hijab and you're going and you're taking it off after you leave a certain area and you're going literally while wearing the hijab doing these things. So I think that was like the moment I was like, okay, the hijab, it's not that it doesn't mean anything. It's just that it's not really the true indication of where a person's deen really is.
But you know what though?
Mm-hmm.
As a hijabi, I mean, okay, I started wearing it when I was 12, but I can honestly tell you, wearing hijab protects you from a lot of things, or protects you from doing certain things, because in the back of your mind, you're always remembering like, okay, I wear hijab. Like, obviously, we do the good deeds and avoid the sins for the sake of Allah only. Mm-hmm. But it's also the fact that when you wear hijab, you're almost like a representation of your religion. Because for a guy, I can't just like, if there was a non-Muslim looking at me and you, they would know I'm Muslim. They wouldn't know that you were unless you spoke or whatever, Yeah. So when you wear hijab, it also protects you from things because, at least if you're conscious anyway, like if you're really actively trying to be a better Muslim, like you remind yourself, like, I wear hijab, I can't do X, Y, Z in public, because I guess, I mean, yeah, you're gonna worry about like how other people perceive it, but it's also just that could be a cause, but ultimately, you know what I'm trying to say is avoid the sins for the sake of God. Don't do it for other people.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess generally for that question, like, is a hijabi a better Muslim? I think we all agree that like it's not really an indication of whether that person is a better Muslim, but it does protect you from certain things.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah.
But that also is not for everybody, because like I mentioned earlier with that story, even though that person was wearing the hijab, like they still did things.
Interesting situation. I've never seen that before.
When I saw it, I was not freaked out, but I was like,
it's weird to see.
It was complete oxymoron. It was something I never thought I would see. I'm pretty sure it's maybe it's more common in other places than
maybe
we know, right?
Yeah.
So the next question they had was, is a hijab created to protect women?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let me preface this by saying, in the society that we live in, it's a very pro-feminist society. Personally speaking, I'm not a feminist. Personally, with that pro-feminists, like the ideologies of, women should be able to wear whatever they want, and men shouldn't attack them. I agree with that. You know what I mean? Like, regardless of how someone's dressed, it doesn't give men right the. Oh my God, I can't speak. It doesn't give them the right to attack them, harass them, do anything to them, assault them. That being said, usually, obviously, there are still some weirdos that will attack you even if you're wearing a paper bag and you only have eye holes. If you're covered head to toe, yeah, is it possible that you could get assaulted by another man? Yes. But if you're covered, more likely than not, they're probably not going to look your way. Or they're probably just scared of you because, everyone thinks that, not anymore, but they're going to assume you're a terrorist or something anyway, so they're just not going to look your way. So generally, yeah, I would say it does.
I mean, I agree. It does protect you from being like sexualized and all of that. But on the other hand, like if you think about what's been happening recently, like hijab puts a very big target on you because
that's also true.
We do represent the religion, and like people who don't like Muslims see you first before they see anyone else. So like these days, like people are even scared to walk down the street because you're wearing a hijab, and although it protects you from other things, it does make you stand out in certain ways too. So you are more you could be a bigger target in those cases.
And unfortunately, like since I guess the 2001 attacks, like it's actually been a deterrent for people to wear the hijab. Yeah, like there are parents, unfortunately, who have actually told their kids not to wear the hijab.
I've seen that
because of the they identify, like it identifies them as a Muslim, and they feel like they're going to be attacked for it.
You're like a potential it's like a risk.
Yeah, and unfortunately, even recently in Canada, it's like started to
it's
become more on the rise. Yeah,
and I'm like, why now of all times? Like, what is their reasoning? I don't understand.
I believe it's because of the internet. Like the internet lets people kind of find their people, so it also lets racists find their people. Yeah, and they can start to kind of. They work within like an echo chamber. So they're in these forums that they're working in on Facebook or on Instagram or wherever the social media sites are working on, they're interacting on. Because of how the algorithm works now, they're only fed the information that the algorithm knows that they'll interact with more. So they don't see the other side of the situation, right? They only see like whenever there's like negative stereotypes towards Muslims, that's what they're going to be fed. So they're only going to believe that Muslims are only terrorists and that like they really want to bring a Sharia law to Canada or all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but unless they're like searching for that stuff, that's not the mainstream. Like that's not what, if there's a Muslim, like people who use like social media, they don't post about that stuff.
Wait, who?
Like Muslims who use social media?
Yeah.
They don't post about that kind of stuff.
Well,
like you have to really dig for that to find it, no?
I don't think you have to dig that much because you're thinking of the people you are surrounded by. Like someone who lives like, I don't know, mid-America and they're surrounded by like, for example, just white people. They're not going to be seeing a lot of like Islamic stuff. They're going to see whatever is common to them.
Yeah,
So
it works the other way.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
like it's the same way where we see what we're used to because
Mhm.
we're surrounded by it, and they like some people are very oblivious of to like what kind of lifestyle we live in, all of that,
Mhm.
because they never come across it. Sometimes like it's not someone being ignorant, they just don't know because they've never experienced it.
Yeah, and if they're only being and if they don't know anything about those other people,
Mm-hmm.
and then when they do hear about those other people, the only information they get is negative,
Yeah.
then it starts to build that
fear and
fear
that
in their head. Like I'm gonna be a little nerdy here. So when I was reading that book about Genghis Khan,
Yeah.
the biggest thing they used, at least in Europe, against the Mongols to kind of bring fear into the people, because back then there wasn't the internet. There's no way of interacting. These Mongols were in Asia, and Europe. There's thousands of miles between Asia and Europe. Right. So they could say whatever they wanted about the Mongols. So what they said, because they never seen a Mongol before, they said that they were man-eaters, they were cannibals. They ate their own children. They would kill you without a thought. Like they said they had like gnarly teeth and like flat faces and big eyes and anything you can say to describe like a monster, to put fear into them.
Yeah.
And there's no way of verifying it, so they just believe the propaganda, right? And that's the same thing that happened to the indigenous people as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and now it's happening to Muslims as well. And even though we have the internet, because of how the algorithm works these days, they're only being fed that negative information.
Right.
And like Nabat was saying, it works both ways. So we don't see that stuff because the algorithm is only feeding stuff that it knows that we would interact with.
Right.
So unfortunately, that's where the divide starts to happen, and you start to get stuff like the Trump era and all of that. So I forgot what the original question was.
Yeah, me too.
Does hijab protect us?
Yeah, so I believe that it does protect women in a way, at least early on. But now there's kind of like that gray area where, depending on where you are, it may protect you or it may not. Like, if you go into Middle America, I'm sorry to put you down in Middle America, but if you go into Middle America and you're wearing like full garb, then like when I'm talking full garb, I mean like the hijab and everything, you're covering your whole body. They will see that maybe as a threat. They'll be like, "Oh, they're trying to infiltrate."
I just don't like. It doesn't make any sense because Americans are all about their rights and freedoms. Why the hell do you care what someone else is wearing?
No, they say they're all about rights and freedoms, but they only rights and freedoms of their people. They don't
their people. I'm using air quotes here, but their people.
Their people. So, the next question is: Are women held at a higher standard of modesty than men?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not even gonna yes. The answer is just yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with this too, honestly. And do you guys want to kind of explain why you feel that way? I know it's a very big topic.
I think it
all goes... a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it is a lot to unpack. I think it all goes back to the fact that women are the ones that are visibly Muslim. And so, like, even for us, you know, for Nabat and I, we've always... I don't want to say you're carrying the face of the religion on your back, but shoot, my back hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you got to think twice about what you're doing. You don't want to give Muslims a bad name because unfortunately that's the type of society that we live in where if someone sees a hijabi doing something wrong, they're like, are all Muslims like that? I thought Muslims couldn't do that. And you're like, well, they can't, but I'm just... Then you have to explain yourself and you're like, oh, you know what I mean? So, there's that whole thing about people commenting online, social media, and you know,
the haram police.
What's the correct hijab? What's not? If someone's dress is too tight, or their ankles are showing, or and you know what? You can tell I'm really trying to pick my words carefully. Yeah. There is nothing wrong with advising your Muslim brothers and sisters. However, have wisdom with it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Maybe don't attack them in a public platform. If someone chooses to post something publicly, that's on them. If you genuinely fear for your Muslim sister and you want to advise her, talk to her one-on-one. If you send her a DM, nowadays a lot of people are just defensive. So if you send a DM with advice, it really just depends on how it comes across. If I posted something and maybe it wasn't considered modest, and someone said, "Hey, Sarah, like, you know, you look really great in this picture, but a little bit of your shins were showing," or something.
Okay, your shins? That's your best example? Why the shins?
That was like the first thing that came to my mind. Whatever, man. Okay, my shins. I was wearing capris. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I was wearing capris, and they were telling me, like, you know, maybe it's a good idea. Like, you could just crop it or something, you know? Like, yeah, you're right.
But that's only if someone you know.
Yeah, that's true. Because I've had a stranger come at me before, and it wasn't in a nice way. Like, she really came at me, and it was on the comments first. So I was like, so I DM'd her.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, look, I get it if you're trying to advise me, but I'd appreciate it if you were just a little bit nicer. And then instead of saying, okay, yeah, no problem, like, you know, make dua for me or something, she went off on me. And I was like, I don't have time for this. I'm sorry. That's it.
And I thought you were about to say something too. No? Okay. Well, let me just go in on these haram please for a second, because unfortunately...
Go off, sir. Go off.
Okay. So first off, like, if you're to that level where you're kind of advising people in the comments, you shouldn't be on social media to begin with. If you're this person who's like trying to advise people out here, you're not usually found online to begin with. You're not on those social media pages. You should be going out there giving dawah on the streets, or
maybe their dawah
people.
Is online.
And if your dawah is online,
why are you following me? Why are you looking at my pictures?
Keep it on your page. And if you wanna inform someone or give them advice, do it in a DM or do it
privately.
Don't
embarrass somebody.
Like, if throwing stuff in the comments like that is not productive in any way. And I still do believe it is good to advise people, but never throwing it into the comments like that. The comments should not be for that type of stuff. But the second thing is that a lot of these guys, if you go on their pages and you watch what they've liked in their past or what they follow or what's on their site, they're following like these like bikini models and everything. There's literally a girl on TikTok dedicated to just going to her comments, clicking on the guy, and it doesn't even take it takes like 2 clicks for her to click on his Instagram thing, and she sees like all of what his likes are, and it's all like Instagram models wearing bikinis.
No way.
And
a Muslim guy?
Yeah, Muslim guys.
Ooh.
So it's not like the exception to rule. She found multiple people like this. Sorry, am I too loud here?
A tiny bit.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good though.
No, but like I do see that there is maybe. Because on Instagram it's kind of tricky, because you do see like there is this kind of move towards 21st century modernify.
They're trying to make it more modern.
Make it more modern.
What's the word? It's not. Did you say modernify? I was trying to think of another variation, like modernify. Is that the word?
It's not modernify. What do you call it again?
Modify it?
No, make it more modern. If that makes sense.
Yeah, what's the word?
I don't know. Okay, but like...
Anyways.
Let's say... Okay, so like there's only one way to really wear the hijab. Of course, there are like different... schools of thought. But there's like a general rule when it comes to wearing the hijab. And my only issue would be like... If this person is trying to promote and say that this is the right way to wear the hijab and they're not wearing it correctly...
But you know what, though?
Then it's okay. I feel like it's okay to go off.
No, but no one... Okay, look. Yeah, anyone who wears a turban, anyone who shows strands of their hair, anyone who shows their neck, anyone who shows their shins, their elbows, whatever the case may be, I haven't seen any one of them to say this is the correct way to wear a hijab.
Exactly.
However, if you consider yourself a quote-unquote hijabi influencer... take that title like very seriously, because a lot of people look up to them like that. There's so many people that'll comment and say, I started wearing hijab because of you. Yeah. But if their idea of hijab is your turban with your bangs out, then
so that's where like my kind of divide happens. Like when you start saying that
you're saying if they are like that, then it's okay to comment on them?
If they're if they're trying to promote the fact that they're even if they're trying to wear hijab, that's fine. But if they're saying like this is the right way to do it, and I don't think there's anyone that really explicitly says that. If if anyone out there, even not only related to the hijab, but any type of religious knowledge, if they're saying like this is like I've seen people on TikTok say like, oh, it's halal to have a dog in the house, like it doesn't do anything, it has no, but there are rules around that when it comes to having a dog in the house. that, then you can be like, okay, you can immediately go in the comments and be like, nah, this is not right, guys. Please learn the correct, that kind of thing. But if they're not doing that, they're just living their own life. They're posting, they're trying to be happy. You see them working on their deen over time. Inshallah, you just make dua for them that they learn to wear it the correct way or whatever, and leave it at that. But the whole commenting thing that I see now with the Haram police is definitely not it. And it should definitely be something that's like stifled. I see it's almost like it's never kind of gone away. There's always new people out there who never learn.
There's also like full on YouTube channels where like these men will talk about Muslim influencers and the things that they do and critique them.
That's not something religiously, like, I feel like
I think we're also just in a different time.
You shouldn't be making entertainment out of pointing out other people's flaws when it comes to the religion. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? Yeah. Cancel what I last said. I'm going to delete that last sentence. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, but you know what?
Yeah.
We also have, like, this generation, we're a whole bunch of sensitive ass people. We're so sensitive.
Yeah.
I feel like hijabis online are already super defensive because of everything that has happened in the last maybe like 5 years online. And what I'm referring to is the influx in people taking off the hijab.
That's definitely a big I saw you mentioning that, and I think it's because I'm so like, I don't really follow too many people in that community. I didn't even know that it was a thing.
Yeah,
no, apparently there are a lot of influencers who are taking it off.
It's a thing.
Yeah,
but I think at the same time,
but the thing, the journey with your deen is not something linear.
No, I know.
Unfortunately, it's because they're in the public eye that it can be seen as negative. Yeah.
There's two things to it. So there's two sides, I mean. The one side is that we have to remember that everyone's a human being. We're all flawed. We're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And we can only hope and try to be the best Muslim that we can be.
Yeah.
At the same time, being on a public media, a public social media platform.
Yeah.
You're kind of put on this pedestal, low-key, because you asked for it. I'm not even gonna like front. Like, if you want to be a hijabi influencer or whatever, you're gonna be put on that platform. You should just know. If anyone's considering that, by the way. So, just that's what I was saying before. Like, if you're gonna have that title, take it seriously. And unfortunately for these people who have gone through these changes in their deen, and it's just like a struggle that they're going through, like, it sucks that they have to do it publicly. And it's not like, imagine if you sin or you make a mistake and then you already feel the regret in yourself. Like, you already feel bad, right? Imagine if thousands and thousands and thousands of people are sending you DMs and commenting and saying whatever, like a whole bunch of nasty things. There are, of course, people who are uplifting and they make dua for you and they're like, oh, if you need someone to talk to, that's great. But, I think people who, what are they called? Keyboard warriors? Haram police?
Yeah.
Just be wise in what you're saying online. Like, just because you can hide behind your phone or your computer doesn't mean, like, what you're saying you're going to be accountable for. So that's all I'm saying.
Have you ever dealt with a Haram police, Nabat?
Not that I recall. Just like when we used to do like YouTube videos with
you guys used to do YouTube videos?
Hijabi Talks. The OG.
You guys need to bring that back, man. Just do it as a podcast, honestly.
Oh my God, we should get.
You can have a second podcast.
We should get the girls on and have Hijabi
Just do it
Talks.
on like Zoom every few days or every couple weeks or something.
When Gizman comes to town. But not everyone's here. We'll get whoever's here.
Yeah, you guys Zoom it, man. I'm telling you.
We'll
Hijabi Talk, bring it back.
Part 4, whatever. I don't even know.
How many episodes did you guys do?
Like 3.
3.
Just 3?
It was a special like a limited edition series,
Yeah. That was a
3-part series.
That was like the golden age where like everyone was still in town. No one was married yet. Everybody was kind of around. School didn't fully take over yet.
Yeah.
Okay. But okay, let's move on to the next question. Then, did you guys have any more to say after that?
I think like when you asked her if she's ever had an encounter with Haram police, that was the first time we all did, I think, because none of us are YouTubers, right?
Yeah.
Like, Gizman was the only one, and honestly, like, Gizman, if you're listening to this, mashallah, she has thick skin. Because sometimes, and she knows, sometimes like I'll just scroll through her comments, and for the most part, 98% of them are pretty positive. Then there's always that one person, and I'm just like, just let me go off on them one time. Like, it's like that overprotective older sister thing. She's like, no, it's okay, just leave it, it's fine. In this video, I guess because we asked for it. You know, it's called Hijabi Talks.
Yeah.
And we're dressing how we normally do. Some people are wearing jeans, whatever. They're like, oh, how could you guys be talking about hijab but you're wearing jeans? So
I think one thing we should also work on, just overall, I notice online people tend to focus on like the negative comments, which are usually like 10% of
but those are the ones that stick with, like, the nice ones are nice.
Yeah, but it's funny how like now in society we kind of weigh the negative ones more than positive. Like the positive ones are there. Someone took the time to say a positive message about your video.
That's so nice.
Should put more weight on that stuff, but I think it's just how our brain works. Just naturally, we tend to gravitate towards the negative stuff because of our own insecurities and all that.
At this point, don't even entertain it. If someone has something negative to say, you know what? I'm sorry you wasted your time because I'm just going to delete your comment.
I think that's the trend now. Like people are just starting to ignore it or mock it and make fun of it, essentially.
Yeah, which is, I feel like, is the funnier option.
Yeah, exactly. Like that girl I mentioned, the one that makes the TikToks where she goes into their pages. That's my favorite page. Okay, let's get on this next question here. So it's kind of a weird question. I've never heard this before. So it says, can a non-Muslim person wear the hijab? And I think a way to kind of like look at this question is like maybe in the light of appropriation, you know, like people who might wear it just to kind of look cool or to not as a religious symbol, but just kind of like a fashion choice.
No, because so many Muslim people, so many Muslim women are attacked for choosing to wear the hijab. So if a non-Muslim gets to wear it as a fashion statement and it's perfectly acceptable and it's deemed as fashion forward and chic, no,
not at all.
Because why didn't you think my CK hijab was fashionable and chic? That's all I'm saying. But it's also the deeper meaning behind why we wear hijab. Like, we're doing it as an act of obedience to our Lord. So I don't want to say it's mocking, but it's like you're kind of minimizing it. Because like, why? What's the reason for why are they wearing it?
Yeah, like what did you guys think of when like what's her name? I think the example they use is like when Rihanna went to, I think it's Abu Dhabi or Dubai, and she was at the mosque and she was wearing the...
Will Smith's wife has been wearing hijab recently.
I don't get that. Like, did she convert or something, or is she?
So I was reading comments. I was trying to see, and some people were saying that she was talking about her struggle with alopecia, and Will Smith was also filming a movie in a Muslim country. Can't remember which one.
Yeah. And
I think she was trying to like assimilate to the culture and just kind of adapt.
But she's been wearing it like on Red Table Talk.
Yes, now. I know.
Have you seen?
Good on her though.
Like the turban style.
Yeah.
No, even like
she's wearing
hijab.
like full hijab. Like she's actually covering like everything perfectly. You never seen that?
Let me show you. Hold on.
See this.
She looks good though. I saw it and I was like,
But like if you're talking about like Rihanna going to like Dubai and stuff, like certain places they make you cover. Like even when we went to Turkey, like if you go into the mosques and stuff, they make you like cover your hair. If you're like, they make you like dress appropriately because it's a religious site, you know.
Look, she's wearing an abaya here. Oh shoot, sorry.
That's all good.
I've seen that picture, but I thought it was like a one-off.
No, she's been wearing it. Like,
she's wearing it better than most Muslims.
If Jada's wearing her hijab better than you,
yeah, that's actually like.
But even this picture was a little bit like.
Yeah, see, so at that point I was like, oh, maybe she converted and she's like praying now or something. But it was confusing because I'm not sure. Like, is she?
No, there's certain people.
Like, what's your opinion on that?
There are certain people who are curious and want to learn, and they to be able to learn, they like fully immerse themselves into the religion, even if they're not practicing.
So it's like someone on the journey of like.
I think she might like be one of those who, like when they're learning about Islam because they want to understand, they like fully immerse themselves. They fast, they wear the hijab, they pray or they try to pray or whatever, and then like in the next year they want to learn about Judaism, and then they completely just immerse themselves in that. So there are people like that. Yeah. When you say like can non-Muslims wear hijab, I think it just is a matter of like what you're referring to, because if it's just like modest wearing, there's a lot of other cultures and religions that also wear like wearing a turban is very common in African and like black culture. Jewish people cover their hair. They might do it in different ways, but they also cover their hair like nuns cover. So it's like what are you considering like
a hijab, like what you're wearing?
Like, but I'm saying like
we don't have the exclusive rights to the hijab, which is basically what you're saying. Like it's not
like I'm saying it's if it's like modest wear, or I guess it depends on the intention behind it, because like lots of black people wear turbans. It's not like they're not doing it because they think it's like
what's his name, Nick Cannon, who's always coming out with a turban.
That's so true.
Like for like hair protective styles and stuff, like a lot of people wear turban style.
No, that's fine.
But I'm saying like they're not wearing it as in like because it's fashion, like let's do it too. It's like part of their culture. Same with certain African culture. So it like. And some people, they might see it as like, oh, it's like the same as like what Muslims wear. And like, obviously we wear our scarves fully like this, but not, this is like what we wear. Like certain cultures wear their scarves completely different and their style might mimic someone else's culture. So I don't know, can you say like, can non-Muslims not wear it? I don't know. Like it depends on how you're, like for me, I personally don't think a non-Muslim, like for example an actor who's wearing it, like I feel really weird about that, because they're representing a Muslim person, and then in the next scene they take it off to like represent something
which
else.
Is a weird culture.
So that part like that part really bothers me and I don't appreciate that. But just like any other person, like I don't know what their reason is behind wearing something that covers their head.
So it really depends on the context.
But like the question was just like, can non-Muslims wear hijab? They can cover their hair if that's part of their culture or the protective styles or what their religion. There are other religions that tell them to cover their hair, but the actual hijab, like wrapping it around your head, covering your neck, your hair, like there are people who do it in fashion magazines. And I think it ultimately just comes down to like why, like if you're interested in Islam and you're really just trying to understand it, may God guide you. That's all I'm gonna say. But if you're doing it because you think it's like the new, like that TikTok trend,
which one?
Where it's like, baby, please don't go, and they're driving and and they're wearing the scarves. I know that's considered a fashionable style of wearing the scarf. But that's like an old school way of wearing the scarf. I've seen that back in movies, old movies. But still, what's the difference between that and this?
Well, that one's like not really covering the whole body. It's like
I know it kind of shows your hair a bit. But
I just mean I don't. For me, I don't appreciate it if it's like an appropriation. So like if it's taking away from like someone who is wearing, like who is a hijabi, then obviously like if you're gonna give it to someone, give it to an actual hijabi. In other senses, like I don't know.
Because unfortunately, like every time. At least in the media, every time someone who's non-Muslim has worn the hijab, whether it's for like a TV show or a movie or something, we're always represented in almost the most negative light, or they misrepresent what the religion is or how it is.
Netflix has a problem with hijabis.
They love
like they make it liberating them, quote unquote liberating.
They always represent it like where it's an oppression tool. Unfortunately, on the media. That's why I think we're more protective about who's wearing it. But on an individual basis, like if you're not tied to any of that kind of stuff, like may Allah guide you, right? Just hopefully maybe you're doing it because you're curious about the religion. And because not to go back to TikTok again, but like I do get a lot of that stuff shared to me, and a lot of TikToks, like a lot of the TikToks I get are like these like white people in UK or like in the middle of America who are just discovering Islam and they're like trying it. They haven't converted yet, but they're like trying to dress more modestly. And the funny thing is that I actually watched a video of a dude who was learning about Islam. And then someone else was asking about Islam, and he was teaching them about Islam. And he's like, I didn't even realize, like, by the end of that conversation, I just gave da'wah, and I haven't even converted yet.
Wow. So
even people who haven't converted are giving da'wah. And I don't know why, like, may Allah guide him. I don't know why he hasn't converted yet, but he knows a lot. But that's not related to hijab, just in general about Islam. But it's definitely when it starts getting to that appropriation level where we have to be a little bit more protective on what we allow as a community. And unfortunately, like you guys have seen, we've been speaking out about those false representations on Netflix where the girl is oppressed in the house and she takes off her hijab and has a whole makeover or whatever. It's ridiculous what's going on in media. Yeah, she's free now.
She gets to date that white boy.
Yeah, it's
anybody watch Elite on Instagram?
No,
I mean not Instagram, Netflix.
Is that one of the show? Is that what happened?
Yeah, Elite, and then the other one.
Never watching it then.
What's that cop show? The one with Priyanka Chopra. What was that show she was on? Quantico. There was a hijabi on there. Did she take it off or what did she do?
I don't think she took it off.
She did take it off in some scenes because she was doing some stuff, but you know.
See, so it's always funny. Like just kind of.
She did take it off. Sorry,
she did.
Yeah.
And she has a twin sister, right?
She was acting as her twin sister, so her twin didn't wear hijab.
Oh, right. Okay.
But like, this is just kind of off topic. Do you guys remember those shows where like they show someone praying, but like the way that the person is praying, like they literally like be standing up. And they won't like bend or anything. They'll just go straight to the floor. Yeah. And then they'll get up and then they won't like do the up and down and everything. They'll just sit up, be done, do like some left right thing and be done with the whole prayer. Like just like those small things.
The only thing they got right was just saying Allahu Akbar.
Yeah,
that's about it. The rest I'm like, yo, what are you saying?
Yeah. I think there was actually a show. I wish I could
I know there is a show out there where it was like oh my god.
No, there was one where a girl was having a conversation while praying.
What?
What?
What show is this?
She's literally like some kid was like no, the girl was like praying in the room. She's wearing like the whole prayer clothes, whatever. And I don't think she was even fully covered or whatever. But someone was talking to her on the couch, and as she was praying, she was like on her floor doing the is it the ruku? Sujud. Like
her head is on the floor?
No, ruku. Shoot, I'm forgetting the names now. Shoot.
Which one?
Where you're sitting up.
In between?
Sitting in between.
Yeah.
Like in between sujood?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then she turns over and starts talking to the person and then continues praying.
That's odd.
Yeah, so and it's those little things that are just so.
Would it kill these producers to just literally ask any Muslim person? Like, hey, I'm doing a show and there's going to be a Muslim character. How do you pray? Mm-hmm. Would it kill you to do that much?
And if you
or just hire someone who's Muslim.
Exactly.
Well, no, because Muslim people are not going to do that. A lot of them won't.
No, they're Muslim actors and stuff.
Yeah,
I guess.
And like, and you know that there's going to be it's going to be like some terror-centered movie when the beginning of the movie starts with the adhan, and like some like middle
Adhan, or if it's in like the desert, if
exactly.
it's in Iraq or something.
Pulls up in the desert and with like the sun coming up.
Have you seen though? There's a lot of those ones where it's like it'll show like a guy in the UK and some girl falls in love with him and he's like, oh, we're gonna be a great Muslim couple, and then he marries her and then he takes her to like Baghdad and they join ISIS and she doesn't realize it and she's like, oh shoot, like
there's a show like that.
There's a movie, yeah. There's like 2 or 3 of them on Netflix.
Unfortunately, that's probably a true story. There's a lot of stories like
that. Yeah, it's
probably
true.
Where that has happened. We don't support ISIS, you know.
Yeah,
we
do not condemn the actions.
Condone.
Just cut that out.
No,
please.
We're keeping it in.
No, we do not condone. Is what I'm trying to say.
You're clipping the mic against that.
My bad. I'm gonna just keep it back here.
Okay.
Do not keep that part in.
No, I'm keeping it in.
No.
Let's move on to the next question though. No. Here's a question. Oh, it says, have you been harassed for wearing a hijab?
Yes.
Okay, give us a story. Let's go.
When we were in Australia. Remember that guy told us to go back to where we came from?
I don't recall.
When we were going to Sydney.
It's so traumatic for Nabat that she forgot.
Okay, the difference is for me, like, I really just don't take things personally. So I don't even acknowledge these things. Like, I could have been harassed, but I honestly don't remember because I don't give it much attention. I just ignore them. So
you're lucky.
Like, maybe they did say it and I didn't notice.
Well, apparently for Sada, it was strong enough to leave an impact, which she remembers.
He was yelling at us.
And you were there?
Yeah, she was on
Nabat.
the trip.
We were together. A guy yelling
it was the day that we were going to Bondi Beach. And we were waiting at the bus
station?
Yeah, and he was like legit.
I don't remember what he's. I remember some guys talking to us. I don't remember what
he was like telling us to go back to where we came from. And we're like, relax, you bogan. Like, we will. Don't worry.
Were you with an Australian at the time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She busted out the accent. I was like, get it. But aside from that, actually, I wasn't harassed. But my first experience wearing hijab in public I was in 3rd grade, and there was this Pakistani girl in my class. She used to wear hijab. I want to say she like immigrated here to Canada. And I was always really nice to her, but all the other kids would always make fun of her. You know how they are. They just make fun of anyone who's different. So one day my mom was like, oh, you can try wearing it to school. So I was like, okay. So I wore it like properly too. It was cute. It was pink, I remember.
Oh, was it like, remember when you were a kid, you used to wear the one piece?
No, it wasn't.
Pulls over?
It wasn't the one piece. It was like it was literally shaped like a triangle.
Yeah.
And it had this big pin here.
Yeah.
And it just like dangled. I looked so funny. I don't know how my mom let me go to school like that. But I wore it and all my friends were like, what are you wearing? Are you trying to be like the other girl? Why don't you go be friends with her then? And I was like, first of all, like my mom wears this. Why y'all being like this? But I got so embarrassed that I took it off and I put it in my locker.
So that's what.
Wait, how old were you?
I was in 3rd grade.
Did you not have a story like that?
I mean, I have stories from like when I was a kid, but I don't consider those harassments because they're kids. Like
it doesn't matter. It still hurt my feelings. I
know, but like I remember like I was the only hijabi in elementary school.
The whole school?
Yeah. But it's like I don't remember being like I remember like
you didn't pay too much attention to the harassment. Or
I never felt like I was harassed. Like people would ask me questions, but they're like kids. They're like, "Are you bald under there?" Or like, "Is your hair braided?" Because like, you know, you'd have like different.
But they weren't like nasty towards you. We're like, "Go back."
I just never.
Blah, blah, blah.
I've never felt that. Not at least not as a kid. No.
Yeah.
How about as an adult?
No, I don't know. I just I don't remember.
You know what though?
I feel like people like pick on certain people they feel like they can get to. Like maybe you just give off the vibe where you're like, I'm not really gonna care, so they don't put too much energy towards it.
You know what's funny? I feel like the only time we are truly like celebrated as hijabi queens is when we go to Philly.
Yo, Philly be real with it, bro.
You hear the guys going, Assalamu alaikum, queen. And I'm like, oh, wow. Why can't everyone be like that?
That's why I love Philly. Every time we go there.
And sometimes they're not even Muslim.
Yeah.
But they're so, like, friendly.
Because, like, I think it's because of the what is it, the Brotherhood of Islam? Sorry.
The Nation of Islam?
Nation of Islam. Like, before they switched to being Sunni, like, they're big in...
Oh, were they big in Philly?
Yeah, they're big in Philly,
Philly,
in all the major cities. They're big there. They're big everywhere. But they're really big in Philly, and I feel like that's where a lot of the culture, at least there, kind of stuck. Of course, like after the Nation of Islam like moved to being more Sunni, and then they started going to the other denominations and everything. But generally, the culture of the city still has a lot of that like Islamic.
They're very accepting, I find.
Vibe, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like you'll just see like random people in there. You see someone with like full tattoos, but they'll still be like Muslim wearing the hijab and everything. And
or the guys who just walk into the like the mosque.
Yeah.
Full tattoos. They put on their kalanso and they have their like their prayer beads.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, mashallah.
It's just a part of the culture over there, honestly.
Yeah.
Like people, a lot of them are converts. Well, clearly, but I feel like. The vibe you get from converts is I like being around converts because like they literally chose, like they had all these other choices, and they found Islam. They were guided to Islam, and it's not an easy thing to do these days to join a religion where
a lot of times you're not leaving your family, but you're going against what you
especially with like the negative stereotypes that are currently being said about Islam these days to. Then join that religion.
But a lot of them, they find that once they do join the religion, they realize how peaceful it actually is.
Well, yeah, that's the idea, right? It is peaceful, but it's because of the negative stereotypes put up by the media, right?
Right. And like you would think that they would be deterred from it.
Yeah, and I respect them a lot more because they were able to see past that and see the truth and be able to eventually join the religion, become like brothers and sisters and everything. And that's why I just like the vibe of that city in general.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And... what was I going to say? So you guys haven't received a lot of harassment from what I'm hearing. You received it when you were younger.
Honestly, I have to say, like, alhamdulillah, that it wasn't worse. Because I know some people really get it bad. And they get bullied. They actually get like physically attacked, verbally. Like all I can say is thank God.
And do you guys? Oh, go ahead.
And I wouldn't say like harass. Like sometimes you definitely get stares and like people will like be eyeing you down and like they might feel uncomfortable, but never to the point where like they're saying something to me or harassing me or anything.
Yeah. And I think that's natural because people don't, when they don't fully understand it, they're going to be a little bit more curious, right? They're going to stare a little bit longer than they should. But that's
stare right back.
No, but really that's just a natural thing. You don't have to stare back. It's like, okay, this.
But like, why? Like if you're in a diverse city, why are you surprised? There's so many Muslim people here.
Let's say you see someone downtown.
Yeah.
Giant mohawk. Metal coming off of every inch of his body. What are you gonna do?
I had a friend like that, so it wouldn't faze me.
Okay, call that, but still.
I literally had a friend like that, and I brought him to the mosque.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I remember.
He had a green mohawk. Okay.
I think I remember this.
And he was like 6'2".
Was it at like Oak Ridge?
No, Warden Woods.
Warden Woods.
Do you remember? And everyone was like, "What is this girl doing?"
What was his opinion?
He enjoyed it. He loved it. He was interested in Islam. He asked me about it. I was like, "Oh yeah, come."
Okay. See, so but like, okay, so
but yeah, you generally look at things that you're not used to.
Yeah,
but you don't. Okay, maybe some people just have a staring problem.
You guys can't say you've never stared at someone that you like is very different than what you're used to seeing. I guess because we're in this city, it's so hard because you see everything. You're kind of exposed to everything to begin with. So maybe it doesn't work with us, but
remember that time when we drove to Atlanta together and we stopped in like, was it Knoxville or something?
Yeah.
And we went out for dinner.
Yeah.
And there wasn't like a single black person. So not only were Gizman and I black, but we were also hijabis. Yeah. I felt like we were
I have a picture of that day.
Yeah, me too. But like the way that they were looking at us, I was like, I really hope somebody doesn't attack us today. So.
And it comes with the territory. Right? Like if you're going to be in an area where they don't see your type of people there, they're going to look at you, especially you guys remember those videos when you see the white people go to like Africa and all the kids just start like touching their skin.
Yeah, that's true.
And do you guys get that video on TikTok of the guy who was a teacher in Tokyo?
Yes, black. And he's like how they smelled his skin.
Yeah, they smell him and there's the kids who like try to lick him and say chocolate.
I guess I really feel for those people who get attacked or harassed or any sort of negative comment towards them. Like, may Allah protect you.
Do you guys feel like we're protected because we're in such a multicultural city?
I wouldn't say we're protected. We're lucky because at this point, Canada, something's in the water. Like there are so many attacks recently on Muslim people.
1 second.
All right.
Okay, sorry guys, we got interrupted there because of my mom was screaming. Well, both our moms were screaming, having a conversation, typical of Harari moms.
They're not even screaming. That's just. Oh
yeah, that's just a normal voice. Sorry, their regular conversation voice. Yeah, at like 500 decibels. Okay, so the last question I have here, I think the question is kind of obvious, but maybe we can kind of put a twist on it. So the question would say, should modesty in Islam be redefined for the 21st century? And the Islam can't be redefined. I think that's maybe because this question or this video was made by non-Muslims and it had Muslims in it, but the questions were made by non-Muslims. They don't understand how Islam works and how like the rules can't really be changed from what they originally were. But the way I kind of want to twist this is that what I have noticed is that people are trying to redefine Islam for the 21st century.
In what ways would you say?
So people are trying to redefine whether the hijab is an obligation or not. And I think we can all agree that the hijab itself is an obligation. It is something that we must do. And I think we kind of have to combat that new culture, that new rise of people saying, oh, it's not really like, what is a hijab? What does a hijab really mean? And
what does it really mean? Could you answer that question?
Well, like, I think the hijab is not only a physical thing. The hijab is because the men technically have a hijab. The hijab would be like how you act. You do have like what we can wear too. Like guys, depending on the school of thought, you can only
it's
cover.
It's called awra, by the way, in Arabic, but in Arabic, and it means unlawful nakedness. So for women, sorry to cut you off. I'm just explaining this for anyone who might not understand what we're talking about. But when we say hijab for women, what a Muslim woman can show as part of her body is her face, and her hands, and then some scholars say her feet as well. For men, it's they cannot show what is between their belly button and their knees. So, yeah.
And I feel like that's where this double standard really is, because like the general consensus is between your belly button and your knees.
Yeah, there's other scholars who say like just the private part too,
yeah, just the private parts. Guys will kind of go to the edge of what is acceptable.
Yeah.
And at the same time, those are the same people who are all kind of like pointing out to women, oh, you should only be wearing like you should be wearing your hijab correctly and stuff, which is technically true, but they shouldn't be calling out people when they themselves are kind of like pushing what is acceptable to the limits, if that makes sense. It's almost like you're kind of being a hypocrite on what you're accepting for someone else, or what you're pointing out for someone else when you're not looking inwards. And I think the general thing here is that you should always be looking inwards.
Yeah.
And watching yourself first, because like even the walis out there, always, before they spoke about anyone else, they always talked about themselves first and said, I have a lot of work to do on myself. I have a lot of, like, I'm not a perfect Muslim. Like, we're all sinners, that kind of thing. So if the walis and our sheikhs were saying that, then like, who are we to say anything to someone else without looking inwards first?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I think that ultimately, you know, the modesty should be applied for men and women.
Yeah.
Not just how you dress, how you act, how you speak. How you speak is a big one.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of guys fail to do. Like I mentioned, those same guys who are pointing out other people's flaws are the same ones who are going out and partying, who are cursing all the time, who are not watching what they're saying. And remember, like, if you can fall into kufr really quickly if you don't watch what you're saying. Just for the Muslims out there, you
should be very careful with the things that you say.
Yeah.
Don't make jokes about religion. If you don't know something, don't guess either. Ask, and don't just ask anyone. Don't Google it. Like, you should hold your religion in such a high regard. It is something that could literally, like, your akhirah depends on how you treat it now. Yeah. You know, so at the end of the day, like, everyone should be working on becoming the best Muslim themselves. If you have the opportunity to advise someone, just do it in a wise way, and make dua for them, make dua for yourself and your family and your friends, etc.
Yeah, and people will gravitate towards people who have been working on themselves.
When you're genuine, though, like I love if someone advises me and they're genuine about it, I love it. Yeah, and I'm like, oh my, you're right. Like, thank you, because if you look at it in the way that this person cares for your akhirah and they're just looking out for you, like, that's such a like, in a society now where everyone's looking at me, and they're very selfish. I mean, for to a certain extent, if someone's looking out for you to say, hey, like, just giving you, you know, a heads up, and they're warning you, and then you start to implement that change, like, you know, they just saved you. So, you know, maybe adjust the way that you view, I don't want to call it criticism, but adjust the way that you accept advice. Exactly.
And I think that's like that was the last question there, and I think that's kind of what I want to end that whole conversation on, is that work on yourself, make sure that you're being the best Muslim that you can be, and lead by example. And hopefully it brings those people towards you, and they can learn from you, and they're inspired to start going onto the correct path or doing things the correct way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like I've spoken to people where they say things like, oh, like, when I hang around with my friends, like, they're not always good religious influences on me. And it's like, okay, that, you know, that's a tough position to be in, but why don't you be that religious influence? Take it upon yourself.
Your friends are a big influence on your deen. In
you
general.
are who your friends are. Yeah. Whatever your friends do, you're going to do. So if you feel like when you guys hang out, you know, you don't really remember to pray, then remind them. Have an adhan app on your phone or something, or a reminder. And it takes like 5 minutes to pray. Imagine that bond you create with your friends if you all pray together.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, like, people think that, oh, we have to find new friends. It's like, no.
Why would you abandon your friends?
Start to be that. If these are people that you love and these are people that you've grown up with and are friends, or maybe not grown up with, just your friends in general.
Yeah.
And you feel like you want to be your deen to be better.
Yeah.
And they're also Muslim.
Yeah.
Then when you start making those changes, then you can start kind of bringing them into your own circle and trying to influence them, not blatantly, like, just say, don't do it in a negative way. Be like,
of course,
guys, you're missing out on this. You're not doing that right. That's how I'm this. Just lead by example.
Yeah. Don't shame anybody for not doing certain things.
Yeah.
Remind them and do it in a loving way. If you love someone for the sake of Allah, like, why would you tear them down and then expect them to want to do better?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Like, it's not productive in any way. And I kind of want to end off because I don't think we even spoke about, or you guys didn't speak about, like, you sort of touched on it, but your hijab journeys, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I want to start with Nabat. So, like, do you remember when you first started wearing the hijab, how that experience was, and, like, your kind of relationship with it?
So I started wearing hijab when I was 6. My mom obviously wore hijab, and I was just an only child, and I was like, I want to do whatever you want to do, whatever you do. So I started wearing.
Wait, so did you put it on? Did she put it on for you, or you put it on yourself?
No, I mean, I asked.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to wear hijab too. Like, I did everything my mom did. So I said, I want to wear hijab too. And then she was like, okay. And then, like, I started wearing it. I kind of stuck with it because then I started experimenting with my hair, so it stayed on. And all of elementary school, I was like the only one who wore hijab. I specifically remember when I was like in the older grades, like maybe grade 5 or 6, like other moms would use me as an example to try to get their kids.
You were that kid.
I was that kid. Like, look at Nabat, she wears hijab. Because I literally was the only person in the school.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until like middle school when there was like a lot of other people. Because I went to my elementary school, it was like a lot of just black people. And then when I went to middle school, it was like a lot of brown people. So it was like, it was such a like different culture shock. Like I was like, went from the only one to be like one of many. And I mean, I tried different styles. Eventually one stuck. I don't know what else.
Wait, so like, and you never really had like any like ups and downs for you? Like once you put it on, you were kind of like, you know what, this is me now. Like I'm not.
Yeah, I mean,
never
like,
had any.
That's what I'm saying. Like I tried different styles. Like I did the tie back. I did the turban style. Like early on, like when I was 12 and stuff. But like I just got. I think when I went to middle school, I was like, I'm grown now. You know, like I just started wearing it normally, and it stuck with me. And I honestly like have been wearing hijab for so long, like majority of my life, to the point that like it's honestly part of my identity. Like I just don't see myself without a hijab. So if like someone asked me to characterize myself, like I'm a hijabi, like that's how I know myself. Yeah. Like I can't even step out the door without my hijab, and it's too foreign to me. So yeah, like
have you ever had thoughts like, oh, I wish I could just go with my hair out, like my hair looks good today?
I mean, yeah, like I used to think like, what if I wore my hair out? But like it just was so, because I started so young that it was so comforting to me that like it really, like I truly feel so comfortable in my hijab. Like
Alhamdulillah.
Even like when we would go to like all girl parties and stuff, like I just felt so weird like having my hair out. Like I know like technically like there's no guys here.
Was there like a hair reveal at the girl party?
Everyone like takes off their abaya and their hijab.
I still just wore my hair out. Like maybe I put it in a turban style or something, but it was just so
you
foreign.
Did. Now that I think about it,
it was just so foreign to me that like this is how I identify myself. Like I don't do hairstyles and stuff. I do my hijab. Yeah. So I don't know. For me, it's just always been normal, and I've never had that like struggle of whether I should wear it or not. It's just it's part of who I am.
Okay. See, so yeah, I feel like and I feel like because of you were surrounded, I guess later on in your life, by more people who were wearing it, you never really had that kind of struggle where you're like the only person there to.
Yeah, I mean, like
represent you, Islam in general.
Yeah, I mean, there's been times, like, even in high school, like, there was people who started off wearing hijab and then they took it off.
True.
Like, but I just never questioned it for myself because that's the only thing I've known for so long that, like, it didn't even, like, I never thought about, like, should I just do my hair and, like, go out? Like, it's just so, it's like a foreign thought to me.
Yeah.
It never even crosses my mind.
Okay, Sarah, what's your story?
Shoot, I don't want to share it anymore.
Come on now.
So I started wearing it when I was 12. But it was actually when I moved to this house. Because before...
It was that late? It was that late?
Yeah, because I honestly, if we didn't move to this area, I don't know if I would have put it on. Because of that incident in third grade, I stuck with those friends.
Yeah.
So I knew that I could never cover my hair again. But it was weird because they all knew my mom. They knew she covered it, but it was like normal for them in that sense.
Yeah. So it goes back to that thing we were saying earlier, where like it really does depend on who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm pretty sure I was the only Muslim kid. I'm pretty sure it was. But anyway, when I moved here, I was starting at a new school, and this area is like, you know, I went from an area that was predominantly like white and Asian, and then this area is like total opposite. It was like black and brown. So my mom was like, I think you should give it a go. Like, you tried it once, it didn't work out there. Try it here. Like, you never know. If people don't know you without a hijab, they won't say anything to you. Like, it's a new school. So I was like, I don't know. Like, I was scarred from that first time. But I remember she took me to school on the first day. I was so nervous. But I went to school and I was just like very uncomfortable. No one said anything to me. No one commented on it. Nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like in 6th grade. So I remember like I struggled with it a lot that year. Where sometimes I would like come home for lunch and then I'd go back to school without a hijab. And like the first few times my teacher looked at me like, I can see your hair.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I know. But it was weird because I wouldn't just come to school without a hijab and just, you know, have my hair out. I would wear my hood.
Oh.
It was weird. Yeah, it was very weird. It was very weird. I don't know. I was a kid. Don't question it. Then, you know, I think by 8th grade, I'm not even going to say 7th grade because 7th grade I was still on and off.
Yeah.
By 8th grade, I was like, okay, like, you know, this is part of my identity now. But I would always, like, exclusively wear it. Do you remember I used to always tie it back? I almost never wore it properly.
Really?
Yeah.
I went through that phase.
Like, I always...
I feel like almost all hijabis go through that phase.
It was, like, always tied back.
Yeah.
And then when I got to high school, I remember I was like, oh, like, I was starting with, like, my cousin and Nabat and stuff. So I was like, oh, they probably wear it properly. They're going to judge me if I wear it back. Yeah. So I started wearing it properly. And I've been wearing it like that since. Have I struggled with it? Yeah. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, there are times where I'm like, oh, I wish I could show my hair, and you know, like, you kind of think of it. If we're going to get real vulnerable for a second, you kind of like, if you have friends who are also non-hijabi and you see the way that they're treated versus how you're treated, it messes with you sometimes. Yeah. But then you also have to remember like why you're doing it. And it's like a constant conversation with yourself. And then, of course, you know, you start to feel empowered by it, too. So you start to love wearing it. Yeah. And which is, I feel like, the case for both of us. And the fact that a lot of our friends, like our inner circle, we're all hijabis. So it makes it easier. And we experiment with styles together, or we talk about which hijab is better. You know what I mean? Like, it's all these things are where we got each other. We support each other. And you start to love wearing it. And it kind of just, you know, we can only really make dua that we continue to love wearing it. Yeah. And if we ever have children in the future, we'd pass that on to them. Inshallah. Yeah. You know?
So. Okay.
Yeah, I think starting at a later age is probably harder.
Yeah.
Because, like, for me, like, at 6 years old, the other kids don't know anything different, right? Like, the first day they were like, what do you have that on your head or whatever? And then you grow up and they're not going to remember you back in first grade. Yeah. Like, at that point, like, by the time kids are, like, they start to learn more and they know more, Like they that's how they remember me.
Yeah.
They always have known me with a scarf. Like they don't even remember a time when I didn't have it. So it's not like such a big transition to be like when you're like 12 going into like, why are you wearing a scarf all of a sudden? Like last week you were showing off your hair, this week you're trying to be mine.
Yeah.
Like for older people would probably like question it more than like little kids were, and that's probably why I wasn't harassed. Like the older kids, I don't think they cared about what was going on in the first grade. And anyone who came after that, that's how they saw me, and that's the only thing they knew me as. So they probably were just like, that's normal.
Okay. And I guess from the guy's side, like who's seeing all this kind of happening, like I have a sister, Gizlan, as well, so I kind of see from the other side. I think guys should remember, like, especially in these days, it's not easy to make this choice to wear the hijab.
It's not.
Especially in the society that we currently live in.
Yeah.
So the only thing we should be doing as brothers...
Be an ally.
Exactly. Be an ally. Be supportive. Support them whatever they're going through, whatever struggles they're going through. And as a man, you should also remember your hijab. Remember how you act also represents Islam. Be modest yourself. Even though we don't have to wear a hijab, like a physical hijab like that, try and dress modestly as well yourself, in a way that's acceptable and presents Islam in the best light. Because even though we don't have those things that tell the person immediately that we are Muslim, they should be able to see it through our own actions.
Yes.
Right? So, yeah, I kind of want to leave it off on that. We've kind of went on a little long there. But yeah, I think we had a really productive conversation. I know people have been asking about the hijabi, to talk about the hijab in general.
And one last thing, because I actually, I had a conversation with someone on Instagram about this topic right before. And one of the questions that she asked was like, in terms of like, I guess how to stay motivated or how to be motivated to put it on for someone who doesn't wear it. I think that when you're doing any sort of good deed, always do it for the sake of Allah. Let that be your motivation. Yeah. I know it's hard in the Western society that we live in because of, you fear for your safety, or if it's a matter of, I'm not going to look as beautiful with hijab on. Hijab is so beautiful. Yeah. It actually beautifies your face if you really think about it. Maybe look for a mentor or someone that you can look up to that can motivate you in that sense. And just honestly just make dua that Allah makes it easier for you. For anyone who's struggling out there, you know what to do. Our DMs are always open, whether it's Amir or myself. We got you. And yeah, I guess. Okay, so follow us on Instagram, Cousin Connection Pod. Amir was taken. Alisara __ and Sukkar Nabat, SUKARNABAT. Bye.